Welcome to Gaming on a Budget. Today we bring you Libertalia from designer Paolo Mori, I want to say. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. As y'all know by now, I'm not great at pronouncing things. This is, well, honestly, I would call it the thinking man's rock, paper, scissor in a way. It's a simultaneous action selection, bluffing, just double think, double speak, just all sorts of craziness. Almost a bit of a party game of sorts. It gets better with more people. It's definitely got its fast-paced movement and it's general chaos to it that really goes along with a gamer's party game of sorts. Now, we're doing things a little bit differently this time, in case you haven't noticed. I'm not in my humble abode. I am journeying far and away. My new work schedule has necessitated that if I want to see my friends and if I want to make videos, well, I kind of need to combine the two. So, here we are. Libertalia will also be doing a little bit differently in the sense that I've played the game once or twice, so I'm more being taught / reminded than doing any teaching or reminding. So the gist of what we're doing here is we will each have a hand of cards that will be awesome little pirate dudes there. If we can get in on these cool cards here, if we can see them at all. Got a little bit of a glare, unfortunately. The cards have various abilities that will go off when you play them. Everything from killing someone else's guys to being stored up later for points and or money. They have various symbols indicating whether an effect happens during the day phase, the rest phase, or the night phase, right?
Yes.
Yes, cool. They have various point values and such, all sorts of interactions. There's not really a lot of explaining to do. Mostly we'll talk about it as it comes up, and that should give you a better idea of kind of what you're dealing with here. So this plays, what is this, 2 to 6?
Yes.
2 to 6, awesome. So you've got a bit of a range. You're going to see the 2-player version, which it's probably less manic and crazy than higher player counts, but still should be an interesting time. So, unless I'm forgetting anything. Yes, no, maybe? Nope. Okay, well, let's get right to it. Okay, so here's a quick overview of my hand. Feel free to pause the video at any point to read this stuff. Otherwise, we will go straight to our explanation and get this game underway. So I now present to you the never before directly seen Tinburo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
No, you're not.
I'm not.
Anyways, the game goes through a series of 6 phases, and we do these 6 phases 3 different times. We're going to each play a card, pick one from our hands. You've already seen his. I've got the exact same cards, I should mention. These are all 9 at the beginning of the game, picked at the same exact time, and one person shuffles their deck and picks 9. That's how it works. Everyone else gets those same cards, so we all know what we all have. And so you're trying to play the game in the same way that, okay, I'm going to play this one, what can my friends play? What are my friends or enemies, whatever you want to call them. You want to try to outmaneuver them, but at the same time you don't know exactly what they're going to pick, and that's where the deduction and bluffing comes in. If you have an obvious play, you may not want to take that just because everyone else might think that you're going to do it. I mean, like he said, there's lots of double think, double speak in here. You want to try to play as careful as possible, but you don't want... Knowing how all the cards interact with each other is definitely a boon, so the first time you play this game, or even the second time for some people, it's going to seem a bit confusing as to why some people play certain cards when they do.
I was going to say random, but yeah.
It does seem random. There is an aspect of randomness to it, but if you know what the cards and the combinations are, you're more likely going to score higher. And my score has gone up every time I played this game. So it's not as chaotic as people say it is, but...
You could kind of describe it like poker, where it seems so random, and yet the same people go to the World Series year after year after year.
Yeah, that's a good explanation for it. So without further ado, we've already had this board set up here. You put out one of these tokens per player, and so that means no matter what, for the most part, barring any cards that change that, each of these are you're going to get one of these. Sometimes you might get 2, sometimes you might get 0. Very rarely, though, that's ever going to happen. Fortunately, this setup has brought out one of every specific tile that you can choose from. The way it goes in order, I'm just going to jump around here. Barrels are worth 1 point, or 1 franc at the end of the round. Jewels are worth 3. Treasure chests are worth 5. By themselves, treasure maps are worth 0, and you still get 0 if you have 2 of them, but if you manage to get a set of 3 treasure maps, it's worth 12 points, which is pretty hefty. But if people see you start taking them, they might start taking them as well.
Just to get in your way.
Yeah. I mean, if you have 1 or 2, there's really no point in having them. You've got the red ones, which are generally bad or do stuff to other players. The Spanish officer, when you take that one, or if you're forced to take it, you have to kill off the character that you placed out that turn. And so he doesn't do anything. It doesn't score for you or do anything like that. If the day phase will happen, but when you take this during the dusk phase, it will kill him off, so any lingering effects won't happen. The sword lets you kill a character in your person's to your left or right den, as so they call it in the game. It's just whenever you get stuff during the round, you put them in your den. And so any characters that have been successfully played and come back to your side are considered in your den for the rest of the campaign or round for that order. And then the bad ones here, curses, are always bad, -3 points. So there's ways around that, obviously. There's some cards that let you do stuff with any tiles, but then again, just from the base, it's -3 points. You generally want to avoid those, but someone's going to take them. So, without further ado on that, we go through 6 turns. There's 6, well, I'm pointing down here a lot. There are 6 turns. We're going to go through and play 6 of these characters. At the end of 6 turns, we will score any of these cards that have end of round, or during the rest, we will score those.
So that little anchor there?
Yep, that anchor means during the day of rest, which is if they survive to the end, for the most part. We'll score those. You score up all your tiles, score up your points, or your doubloons, and then you will add them to your total and move your marker up for that turn, and then it resets. You draw 6 new cards, everyone gets the same 6. Let's just go through a round, or 2 or 3.
But you'll have some leftover cards usually, right?
Yes, you will always have 3 leftover cards, and then when you draw 6 more, you'll add to those 3 leftovers.
So your hands will start varying a little bit over time.
Yes, it's good to keep track of what cards people have played, if you can. I mean, obviously you know what you have. Keep an eye if there's especially powerful cards like the, as an example here, the Mutineer or the Freed Slave. If nobody plays those, it's good to keep an eye out to maybe see a good opportunity for someone to play them and try to kill them off. The Mutineers and Freed Slaves are generally more point producers. They do stuff during every night phase, so there's 6 night phases every turn. If they survive for 6 turns, they do their ability 6 times, which is pretty cool, but you'll see. I'll explain everything as we go through. So at this point, all the players involved, which is the 2 of us, will pick 1 card secretly and put it out in front of us.
Okay. So, considering what I know of, how do you pronounce it? Tinburo?
Tinburo.
Tinburo. Okay, so I was close. Let's see. I'm going to... it might be a little obvious, but I'm going to try it anyway. This right here. So I've got it selected. Yep. I put it face down.
We put them, no, we played them, so we might as well put them face up.
Okay.
I picked a Freed Slave.
Yeah.
And you picked a Freed Slave. Now here's where these little tiny ones in the corner come into play. When you have a tie, because usually it goes from rank lowest to highest, and then you go through them one at a time, starting with the low to the high. Since we're tied, we have to look at the tiebreaker numbers, which each deck has a different tiebreaker number for each card. So just because he played the Freed Slave and I played the Freed Slave doesn't always mean that when he plays a card, it's always going to be in front of me. All the cards have different tiebreakers on them. So in this case, his Freed Slave will go off first.
Which in some cases will be an important distinction. Like if there's somebody that kills something else, you know, your kill happens, then the next person's kill. And
yep,
because they can end up killing the person you played that killed, and so on and so forth.
Brutes can make for some strange shenanigans, especially if everyone plays them at the same time. So, generally how it goes is everything's played out. You start with the first card. Day phase, dusk phase, and then we go to the end of that turn. So freed slave is no day action, so neither of us do anything. And now you pick booty tiles for whoever's last on the ship towards the front. So being in the front means you get last pick. Being in the back of the ship means you get first pick, but you have to go through everyone else's day phase cards. So if someone plays a card that removes the highest number guy, then you're SOL.
So I'm thinking...
You start with either the treasure chest...
Oh, I get to pick
jewels.
first?
You get to pick... No, I get to pick first.
Yeah,
right?
I thought so.
So
Okay.
I'm going to take...
Treasure chest,
coin,
the 5-pointer. And then I'll take what's left over. I have no choice about that.
and it goes face down.
Face down, okay.
You only have to reveal them if you are required to by a card. And so, you get your freed slave.
He
I
goes
get my
in my
freed
little
slave.
den here to do cool things for me.
Just double checking something. After the dusk phase, we go to the night phase, which everyone gets their bonus points for whatever. Since we both have a freed slave,
We're
night
each
phase
getting nothing,
which
though.
means we get nothing effectively because there's no
Because there's
guys.
nothing with a higher rank than him.
Yep. So right now he has nothing for us. But we're setting up for later rounds of getting some points. So now we pick another card.
Alright, I'm gonna gamble a little and hope that this pays off for me. So there's my card, ready to be revealed.
Being a little more.
What is that shifty-eyed fellow
Alright, so
thinking?
they get revealed.
And I have a Granny Wata. Ah, crumbles. Well, that's not great for me. You want to run us through the sequence?
Sequence is going back through. We go low to high, and so since it's a 2-player, there's not a whole lot that can be said about this. But because it's the day phase now, we start with the brute, and the brute's special action is during the day I get to discard the character with the highest rank on the ship, which means I remove his granny, and it goes into the discard pile for that turn.
Wah, wah.
And there's a difference between discards and removal.
What would have happened if I had played my brute?
If you would have played your brute, depending on, well, it wouldn't have mattered because this one's a brute is a 1, so I would always go first and knock out your brute, which would effectively
you get
mean-
to choose when there's a tie. In other words, because they're the same rank, technically
Oh, yeah,
yours
but-
goes faster.
Yeah, as far as when there's a tie, you do get to pick which one.
Okay. All right. So your brute survives.
My brute survives, which means I'm the only person with the day phase, with the dusk phase. So I have a choice between either taking a solid 1 point or 3 points. I'm sorry, it's a jewels, or I can try going for the treasure maps. I'm sorry. If I do that, I kind of have to guarantee that I get 2 more, and he's going to know that, so he's going to try to take one of them from me. So which either means I have to always win for the next couple rounds, or I just have to try cutting my losses and.
All right.
I'm
well,
actually
let's see what happens.
I'm gonna take the jewel because since you don't get a pick,
It just goes away,
and there's no way you're free. So I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
So this goes back into the bag.
All right. What do I want to try next?
And I should mention that I have the night phase, and since I have a higher ranked character,
that's true. You're getting a doubloon now,
I
aren't
do
you?
get a doubloon
Yeah,
because
His
I have one
slave
higher
now
rank.
has a higher, or freed slave now has a higher.
I have one higher rank than him. So
This card, I
I
think.
get 1 point.
So there
I don't
we
get it
go.
immediately,
I've got
though.
my choice.
I'm going to say this is really unusual. But
Pick a card.
I'm going.
Card.
This is not going to do me well, so let's just go for it.
Okay. Ready, Freddy?
Yep.
It's hard to pick up a card with one hand.
Yes. Looks like we both have the same
Arg.
idea.
Arg!
So this time, he still wins the tiebreaker, so he goes first. Unfortunately, these governor daughters don't do anything during the day, dusk, or night phase. So, yeah, one of us is going to want to kill the other one, that's for sure. Because otherwise we both lose.
Actually, mine's gonna die horribly anyway, isn't it?
No.
Because you're gonna take the treasure map there, leaving me with the Spanish officer, which will kill mine.
Potentially, yes. Which
Is
means
there a way around it?
if I take the Spanish officer, but I'm not going to do that.
Right. So mine's dead.
Yes, but you do get the Spanish officer,
Mm.
which can be used for a card that I believe is in your hand.
Yeah.
But I also get 2 doubloons this round. have
Okay,
2
let's
rings.
condense my cards a little here. Get some organizing done.
Change. Alright, another card.
Okay. Let's see. This skinks for me, frankly.
This is terrible.
Guess I'll do this, I think.
I'm taking a risk here.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
But
See, that's what I was afraid of.
well, I was bound to get lucky eventually.
I
Both
figured
of my money piles died horribly, so...
the problem is the other cards in this deck require you to lose characters, and I don't want to do that at this point. So, I took that risk. That's okay.
So my brute kills the granny, and I think I will take this 1-point barrel as opposed to losing points.
As a side note, the fact that he killed my character off is actually good.
Means he doesn't get a curse.
I would have taken a curse.
Actually, I probably would have.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Okay, so now I finally get a freed slave buck, which is cool.
Yes, you do.
You get 2, but whatever. I don't care about that.
Alright.
Da-da-da-da.
This goes away.
Let's
Next
see. I think I'm going to try this. Ready?
Yep. I think we're playing the same. You see there's certain card interactions that we all know that each other knows, so we're playing very safe.
And obviously I'm going to take this one. Good. She's awesome.
And I'm taking the granny back. As a side note, means you get to pick the treasure first, and I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, I'll take that 1-point barrel.
I'll take 0. Next card.
Could have been a lot worse.
After you get yours back, and you get 2 points, I get 3 francs.
Yeah, so I'm just going to stay a person behind, unfortunately.
I get 3 this time.
Wow. How many more plays do we have in the round?
1 more.
One more?
Yes.
Oof. Well, I have to do it. There's no choice. Well, kind of screws us both if I do that. So what the heck? I'll do this. There's my money. I'm a billionaire. All right.
Actually, I'll take this.
Spanish spy.
So you're going to use the spy. Now here's an interesting interaction. Not with each other. My mutineer does nothing. Spy goes off, so you can reveal however many of those you have and discard them, I believe. And he gets...
I get to draw from the bag.
And there's a chance he could get a curse or a bad thing.
And I get a barrel, which is better than nothing.
1 point. So your Spanish spy is done. We go to the night phase, means you pick first. But now you have a difficult decision. If you take the treasure chest, I'm going to kill one of your guys. If you take the other one and kill one of my guys off, it could potentially help you.
Oh man, this is horrible for me either way. I'll take the saber. Take your foul 5-point treasure box. And I would like to kill off your freed slave.
That's probably wise.
Yeah.
Because I was going to get 4 points off of this one.
And continue to do so in the future, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at least one more turn, because they go away at the end of each round. So you get that guy.
Right. Okay.
You get your 3 coins for the night phase.
Whee.
Now, there was going to be an interesting distinction to take, because if you have 2 things with the night phases, you get to pick what order they go off in. So I could have, in retrospect, I could have taken my freed slave points and then used my mutineer to kill off the freed slave, and still gotten points for both of them.
Spicy.
But now my mutineer goes off, which means I discard the character with the lowest rank, which will be my brute, and I get 2 doubloons for that.
Huh? So, we're done with this round.
Done with this round. Now we do end of round, or day of rest, any
and I have
objects.
no anchors.
And my governor's daughter survived.
Yeah,
So
his governor's daughter survived.
So I get 6 points.
And is alone. Because she has an important distinction there.
Yep.
Let's see.
if I'm the only one to have it in the den. So I
Important
end the round
distinction.
with a decent stack of doubloons.
Yeah.
Now we add up everything else we have got.
So let's count here. 5, 10. I have 13 doubloons. Sword's worth nothing.
You just add your numbers together.
I have, looks like 19 total. So I would go up to 19.
I got 39.
Bitch.
And then
Foe.
you take all the cards that have been
Show.
played that round and are discarded, and you turn them face over next to your pile that you have this handy little token at to keep track of which is your used pile and which is your reserve pile. And then you put them face down, they no longer work for the rest of the game. We draw 6 more cards and continue on through the game 3 more times. End of the game,
Alright.
whoever has the highest point wins.
Well, on that note, let's get on over to the summary. Oh, and so on. More various sounds. And I will fumfer for a second so you can click the button. Do 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 do. Okay, so summary for Libertalia. Libertalia is, to me, a game that's rating changes completely based on your mindset and the mindset of the people you're playing with. It's a very swingy game. I mean, you saw me absolutely cremated in that round, and yet, in the following round, it could completely flip, and I could do the same thing to him, and we could end up tied, potentially. So, if you're playing with people in the right mindset, who don't mind the swings, oh, it's a fantastic little game. I mean, just hilarious, some of the stuff that'll happen. You'll see 4 people each decide to play the brute for different reasons, and then you go through this whole line of exploding brutes, and it's fantastically amusing and a lot of fun. If you've got somebody who's feeling a little more touchy at the moment, shall we say, you know, they're gonna not have a great time on those rounds where luck just flows against them. So, I mean, if you've got a group that's into that kind of thing, then absolutely, it's a fantastic choice. But be prepared for that swinginess that comes along with the game. Also, it's pirate themed. Some people are going to love that, some people are going to hate that, you know? Just all depends how you feel about pirates. Though, to be fair, it's closer to a historical pirate theme than to, say, a Pirates of the Caribbean kind of thing. You know, these aren't cartoony pirates. They're pillaging and murdering and generally being nutty and fun. So, all in all, I would definitely recommend this game if you liked what you saw. It's a lot of fun. It really is. Just get the right group together and you can have a blast with this. It doesn't even take too long to play. It's, what, 30 minutes to an hour, depending?
With the larger player counts, it can be closer to an hour and a quarter, depending on how long people take their turns.
Yep. Yeah, well, and of course, you know, if somebody feels like thinking for a long time, well, there you go. But this is the sort of game where you can throw popcorn at them or whatever you have at hand and be like, play your turn. Come on now, pirate action. So, yeah, no, it's what you see is what you get. We played it pretty honest. That's about the decisions I would have made. I probably would have thought a little longer if I wasn't filming it instead of just kind of picking stuff. But, you know, hopefully the camera work wasn't too offensive. I apologize. I'm not generally the filmer of things, as you probably know. So, but yeah, that's Libertalia there in a nutshell. Anything you want to add?
I would add the game is compared a lot to Citadels, and it's not a completely fair comparison, but the fact that because everyone has their own decks of cards, I would say it gives it a slight edge for me over Citadels, because there's always this, seems like to me, the same sort of choices in Citadels. I do enjoy Citadels a lot, but this game just takes it to the little, it makes it a little quicker, it gives it some theme, and it gives it a little more of just oomph. I suppose. I enjoy playing this game. It, like I said before, it seems really chaotic and random at first, but as you play it, more obvious choices will come out, and then it turns into the deduction part. The first few games, you're just going to be floundering as you try to figure out how everything works.
So, this is what, around 40, 45 bucks?
I think 40 is MSRP. I could be wrong, though.
So, definitely not a bad deal for the money either. I know I just showed you this, but I love it when they actually bother to put cool graphics on the back of stuff, even though you will rarely see it, because, I don't know, it feels like they care a little more when they do stuff like that. So definitely budget approved, us approved, hopefully you approved. Thanks for watching, and get off your computer and go play some games.